tell you what's hard to get over. It's hard to get over Donald Trump. I don't know if y'all have seen this. My God, do I have some video and some sound for y'all to see and hear. Oh, my Lord. First things first, nugget of news to get out the way. District Judge Aileen Cannon has set an aggressive schedule and the initial date of August 14th for the trial of Donald Trump in regard to allegedly mishandling classified documents. But the date could very well change. This initial date puts the case on a speedy track with arguments for the trial being made by the end of July. Again, a trial date is set by the federal district judge as a placeholder initially, and the date can change drastically once it is ordered, since parties can consult in the judge's chambers and discuss their plans and concerns on timing. Brandon L. Van Grack, a former federal prosecutor, said, quote, "It signals that the court is at least trying to do everything it can to move the case along, and that it's important that the case proceed quickly. Even though it's unlikely to hold, it's at least a positive signal in the sense that all parties in the public should want this case to proceed as quickly as possible. It is speculated that Trump may seek to delay the trial since he still doesn't have a full legal team after a number of his attorneys resigned. But if the date does stand, the first Republican presidential debate of the 2024 election cycle will be held August 23rd, a mere week after the trial starts." Well, first of all, it's a couple of things. Number one, who's to say that Trump is going to show up? Because since he's been arrested and indicted on these charges, his numbers have gone up. He's created greater separation between himself and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, not to mention Governor Chris Christie, Nikki Haley, and others. Tim Scott. The list goes on and on. Let's get that out the way. That's number one. Number two, I want to state for the record, I think one of the greatest embarrassments in our country transpired over a few days ago. When former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, along with others, are being asked by the Republican National Convention, RNC, and others to pledge their support of any Republican candidate who wins the primary, even if it's Donald Trump, even if he's in jail, is a disgrace. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a convicted felon in the United States of America, you no longer have a right to vote. Am I right about that? You no longer have a right to vote. So you don't have a right to vote if you end up being a convicted felon. But you should still be allowed to run for the presidency of the United States of America. Essentially what the RNC is asking every candidate to commit to is that even if Donald Trump is convicted of these crimes he is alleged to have committed with classified documents, amongst other things, and he is behind bars in a zebra suit, this brother would be able to debate Joe Biden from jail. This man would be the commander-in-chief. People would actually vote for him and support him to run the country from prison. So as a convicted felon, you ain't allowed to vote. Or you're surrounded by those in prison who also wouldn't be allowed to vote. But you can run the country. You have any idea how embarrassing and disgraceful that is? What in God's name is the matter with this country? If you can condone and okay something that idiotic. Forget the fact that it's not practical and it's not going to happen. Because I don't believe for 1 second that would ever happen. That's not the point. How the hell do you have laws on the books that would allow for it to happen? Where somebody literally can run for and win an election from prison. It's just embarrassing. Having said that, though, there's an entertaining element that comes with all of this. And it was provided courtesy of Bret Baier of Fox News, who interviewed Donald Trump over the previous 2 days. Monday and Tuesday. It aired 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Fox News Channel for a vast majority of the hour. And I'll give Donald Trump this. See, this is why he's so far ahead of everybody else. Damn it, it's incredulous to watch. I can't say fun, because some of it is so pathetically sad. It's not funny at all, but my God, you do find yourself transfixed to the TV. Listen to the idiocy coming out of this man's mouth. It's very, very alarming. Donald Trump looks unraveled. And I'm not talking about his hair. I'm not talking about the orange tone of his skin. I'm not going there. I'm talking about the words coming out this man's mouth. I got 3 sound bites for y'all. Y'all gotta listen to this. You gotta watch this. I mean, it's epic. It's epic. Listen to Donald Trump being asked by Bret Baier and then responding to questions about the 2020 election. He swears up and down was rigged. You can't miss this, ladies and gentlemen. You can't miss this. Listen to this.
You take a look at Truth to Vote, where they have people stuffing the ballot boxes on tapes, or
Mr. President,
let's go to recent. Well, wait a minute. Let's go to recent. FBI Twitter. Let's go to recent. The 51 agents, all corrupt stuff, Brett.
Understand about the Hunter Biden.
No, but
all
that's cheating
fair
on the
thing.
election. But that's cheating on the election.
You lost the 2020 election.
Brett, you take a look at all of the stuffed ballots. You take a look at all of the things, including things like the 51 intelligence agents.
There were recounts in all of the swing states. There was not significant widespread.
We're trying to get recounts, real recounts, not just numbers of votes.
Widespread
cast.
corruption. There was not a sense of that. There were lawsuits, more than 50 of them, by your lawyers, some in front of judges that you appointed.
Look at Wisconsin.
That came out with no evidence.
Wisconsin has practically admitted it was rigged. Other states are doing the same right now, and it's continuing on.
There have been reviews of every potential case of voter fraud in 6 battleground states, and they found fewer than 475 cases.
You know why? Because they didn't look at the right things.
Okay, are you going to be
They were counting ballots, not the authenticity of the ballot. The ballots were fake ballots.
My God. Ladies and gentlemen, forget the election. Forget the fact that he feels he's trying to pretend that he feels the election was rigged. Listen to Bret Baier. 50 lawsuits were brought by your lawyers. They were dropped by your appointed judges. They didn't look. They didn't look in the right place. They didn't count them correctly. Delusional. I mean, just listen to what he's saying. But here's the thing. That was just a tease. It's nothing compared to the next stuff that I got to show you. Same interview. This is Fox News, y'all. This ain't CNN. This ain't MSNBC. This is Fox News, who turned Trump's campaign into an infomercial, in 2016. Promoting everything about him. This is what we saw. This is the network interviewing him. By the way, Bret Baier is exceptional, by the way. He's one of the best. Say what you want about him. Say what you want about the network. Those are individuals you can handpick and nitpick about. Can't say that about Bret Baier. Can't say it at all. Highly professional and incredibly neutral in his reporting. I've been watching it for years. Can't say that about him. And boy, did he put it on display. Listen to this with Bret Baier and Donald Trump in regards to the documents he took from the White House to Mar-a-Lago.
To subpoena you to get them
Which
back.
they've never done before.
Right.
And
But why not just hand them over then?
Because I had boxes. I want to go through the boxes and get all my personal things out. I don't want to hand that over to NARA yet. And I was very busy, as you've sort of seen.
Yeah, but
I've been
according to
very,
the
very
indictment,
busy.
you then tell this aide to move to other locations after telling your lawyers to say you'd fully complied with the subpoena when you hadn't.
But before I send boxes over, I have to take all of my things out. These boxes were interspersed with all sorts of things. Golf shirts, clothing, pants, shoes. There were many things.
Did y'all hear that? Part of the case against him is that he had files, and y'all have seen the video of the boxes. They're files, okay? And in those files, it's alleged, some of the contents are alleged to be national security, of national security interest. See those files right there, y'all? See those files right there? Those are files that touch on national security and other issues. Donald Trump said in those boxes, I have shoes, I have golf shirts and pants. Are you looking at those boxes? They're files. He's talking about shirts and shoes and pants. You can't make this up. But my favorite part of this interview was when Donald Trump had to defend himself against ripping his own candidate. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, he hires the best people. He's going to hire a first-class staff. And will have a great administrative staff. They will know what they're doing. He's going to hire the best of the best of the best. Remember that? Listen to Bret Baier pick this apart. It's epic. It's epic when you consider how braggadocious Donald Trump has been over the years about who he'd pick. Listen to this.
Vice President Mike Pence is running against you.
Yeah.
Your ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, she's running against you. Your former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, said he's not supporting you. You mentioned National Security Advisor John Bolton. He's not supporting you either. You mentioned Attorney General Bill Barr, says you shouldn't be president again, calls you the consummate narcissist and troubled man. You recently called Barr a gutless pig. Your second defense secretary is not supporting you, called you irresponsible. This week, you and your White House called your White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, weak and ineffective and born with a very small brain. You called your acting White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney, a born loser. You called your first Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, dumb as a rock. And your first Defense Secretary, James Mattis, the world's most overrated general. You called your White House Press Secretary, Kayleigh Kennedy, milquetoast, and multiple times you've referred to your Transportation Secretary, Elaine Chao, as Mitch McConnell's China-loving wife.
His Secretary of Transportation, he's insulted, who happened to be the wife of the Senate Majority Leader at the time. He insulted his press secretary, both chief of staffs that he had, his defense secretary, his Secretary of State, his vice president. Did you hear that list? I just gave you a few of them. Everybody that he said he chose, initially telling everybody he would pick the best and they would be the most brilliant staff, etc., etc. He's called them dumb, ineffective, soft, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, it don't get no better than that. It doesn't get any more obvious than that. And without saying a word, because he's a consummate professional, Bret Baier indicated what we've all suspected for quite a long time. Even Fox News and most of the Republican Party knows this man, Donald Trump, has to go. He's not good for them. He's not good for the party. He's good for the MAGA Republicans, that cult following that he has. And that's about it. And he is just lost. They need a new candidate. That's what you walk away from looking at that interview. It doesn't get much better than what Bret Baier did to that man. Looked him dead in his face and didn't argue and push back and fight with him and all this stuff. Let him speak, tried to interrupt him, but ultimately threw his own facts right back in his face. And then ended the interview by asking, "Was this fair, sir?" And Trump said, "There's a couple of questions that I could have done without, but it was fair." My God. God help us all.